welcome to the Real Varsity Sports Live now as we hit the final show of the regular season. Championships today in North Dakota, and we'll get to those again here in a moment. And 3 games yesterday in South Dakota, 3 more today, 1 more tomorrow, and then we're done.
Then we're done, unbelievably. Actually, it's believable. It's been a long season, but it's been a good season, and it's always fun to see people hoist that hardware for all their hard work.
All right, let's get to the Thursday games in South Dakota, and we start out with Canastota, the overwhelming favorite in this game against Sully Buttes in the 9A championship.
Yeah, Sully Buttes has a good team, but they were facing the best, a team that's won 3 titles in a row already this decade.
All right, Sully Buttes at 10-1, Canastota at 11-0 coming into this one. Jared Nielsen is the man for Canastota. Midway through the first quarter here, huge hole for Nielsen. He goes for a touchdown, and it is 6-0. And Jason will comment as soon as he gets his microphone on here. All right.
And yeah, it was a great start. They had to grind out the first couple drives, and then things started clicking in the passing game.
Shea Jolly to Drew Siebert for a touchdown, 12-0 Canastota. And then the brothers hook up here. Shea Jolly to Scott Jolly for a touchdown.
Well, it was fun for Shea Jolly to be able to throw the ball a little bit. He doesn't do that very often during the season, so for him to be able to connect on a few long ones was fun for him.
Canastota up 20-0 in the first quarter. In the second quarter here, Nielsen again, lots of blocking again. He goes 60 yards for a touchdown.
You know, running backs like this always credit their line, but if you just look at how the line dominated for the Canastota Hawks up front, they just got it done.
28-0 Hawks in front.
Watch out!
Some Canastota defense as well. Siebert did a little bit of everything. He had an interception a little later on. Late in the first half here, Nielsen gets out of that tackle and goes 90 yards for a touchdown to make it 34-0.
And he got there in no time flat. Such a big running back, long strides. Find that little hole for him, and he'll make his way all the way to the other side of the field.
All right before the half here, Siebert stepping in front of that one, going back for a touchdown. 42-0 Canastota at halftime.
Sully Buttes, a team that is very balanced, can pass and run usually, just had no luck throwing the ball on this day.
56-8. The Hawks are now 4 for 4 in their games, in championship games at the Dakota Dome. They win another 9AA championship here. You see the big numbers for Jared Nielsen. Canastota had 479 yards of offense, held Sully Buttes just 130. And Jolly with a good game, throwing it with a couple of touchdowns as well.
Yeah, and Nielsen gained most of those 255 yards in the first half. After that, didn't have to go to him very much. They had a running clock, and the Hawks marched their way to another title.
Canastota's won 4 in the last 6 years, I believe. Let's hear from the 9AA champs after this one, or 9A champs, excuse me.
You know, it's nice when our offense can come out and get us on the board. Late early when they had the opportunity today, our defense had it. Our seniors chose to defend, to kick off and take the defensive side of the ball. They wanted to set that tempo early and often that we weren't going to allow any points.
You know, it feels great knowing that we have a defense that can stop, and then we bring in our offense that can just bring it to the house. And our defense, it's just we had so much depth because we had players injured this year, so we had a lot of depth, and that's our strongest point, I think.
This is a championship game, so they're going to be probably the best team we face all year. So I wasn't expecting to have a bunch of huge runs, but it's just what happened because, I mean, my linemen made awesome blocks. My whole team made awesome blocks. So
Jared Nielsen is a great kid. You wish you had 9 of them. He's a great kid in the classroom. He's a great kid on the football field. He leads the right way with his feet and his body, not with his mouth. And he's a tremendous kid to have on our roster, and he's going to be successful in no matter what he does because that's the kind of kid he is.
Oh, it means a lot, you know. Seeing my brother do it back in 2010, my older brothers, they've just been so influential for me, and it feels really good to bring it back to Canastota.
There you go, Canastota. 9A champs again. Jared Nielsen, by the way, 15 carries, 255 yards, which looked pedestrian compared to some of the other 9-man numbers we will see here, but he had an incredible season.
He had an incredible season. A guy almost gained 2,000 yards coming into the game this week, but a lot of those seniors are really going to enjoy this one because they've gone without one for a few years, and that hasn't happened for a while in Canastota.
Canastota averaged 47 points a game this year offensively, and they are 12-0, and they are the 9A state
huge dominant win for them.
Again, 9AA, Jason, was the W's in this one. Wolsey Wessington taking on Woonsocket Wessington Springs Sanborn Central. And the Blackhawks in the black here beat Wolsey Wessington during the season. Landon Oshner was banged up a little bit.
Yeah, he had to wrap that ankle up. He played through it last week in the semifinals. Had trouble cutting, but man, he grinded this one out.
Tucker Kingsbury to Dylan Moore here for the first touchdown of the game. And the Blackhawks are up 8-0.
Started out well. They shut Wolsey Wessington down on their first drive, came back and scored. Everything was going to be fine for them, but then Wolsey Wessington found their playmaker, Hunter Johnson, who was almost 3,000 yards in the season after this one was all said and done.
He had about a tenth of that in this game. Couldn't bring him down. They finally brought him down there, but he goes in from 5 yards here to make it 8-6.
For such a small guy, he never goes down on the first hit. He always slides out of that first tackle.
He had to go as an 80s rock star for Halloween this year, I think. Jarrett Weber to Darren Ogunjemalusi. 25-yard touchdown there. Great throw. 14-8. Wolsey Wessington in the lead at halftime.
Yeah, Ogunjemalusi blew it up with a couple plays. And as you can see, he can do it on the ground as well. He is fast.
He gets loose again, 30 yards here in the third quarter. Warbirds up 20-8. And this is the next play, though, for Woonsocket Wessington Springs Sanborn Central. Oshner goes 56 yards.
I just got done saying I don't think the Blackhawks have the playmaking abilities with Oshner's ankle. And what does he do? He finds a straight lane, and he finds the end zone.
All right, that made it 20-14, and then a one-play drive here for Wolsey Wessington as Johnson goes 70 yards.
Yeah, that was, I think there was a span there with 5 possessions for Wolsey Wessington where they scored 4 times. They had got the offense clicking.
Go back up 28-14 after the run by Johnson. And then late in the third quarter here, Blackhawks again. Kingsbury to John Whitty.
Trust me, he caught it.
He got it for a touchdown. It's 28-22 Wolsey Wessington after 3 quarters. And then in the fourth, Hawks doing it again here. The Hawks have it again, and they get stopped here on 4th down, Jandy. Ogunjemalusi makes the stop for Wolsey Wessington.
Huge play. Their defense made the big stop. They had to come back down. And so many times this game they went for it on 4th down and got it. This time, would they get it? They got it. They keep the drive alive. Very next play.
Hunter Johnson, his 3rd touchdown of the game, goes 45 yards here. And yes, it was a 6-point game until that touchdown. And Johnson with a monstrous game of 303 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in Wolsey Wessington. They lost in the 9A championship game last year to Howard, and they get it done here, 36-22.
Yeah, and the Blackhawks lost last year in their championship game to Gregory, and they had to suffer another tough one, but you know, they brought the effort. These two teams have been playing each other since they were middle schoolers or even elementary age. They know each other very well, and seems like about half the time Wolsey Wessington wins, and the other half the time Woonsocket Wessington Springs Sanborn Central wins. This one was all Warbirds.
All right, here is Gordon Hooks and his guys after their win.
We knew what they were going to do. We knew their line is tough. It's about execution at this point. I mean, everything we film on us, we've got everyone on them. In a game like this, it's about heart, pride, execution, and laying it on the line. And I thought our linemen, our backs, our team laid it on the line today, and we just had enough to get through these guys.
Well, the first time we played them, we just came out slow and we didn't play our game. And now we knew what we had to do, and we did it, and we got it done.
The line, they told me they were going to block. They said just hit the hole hard and just we'll get the yards we need. We'll get the yards we need. And I knew if I just did it, and it opened up. It just opened up. They missed a tackle on me, and it opened up, and I knew I was gone once I got to the open field.
It's all about heart. We had big hearts. That's all about Warbird program. We have really big hearts. We go hard, and we knew all the fans in the stadium wanted this, and we wanted it even more. And we dedicate this all to our coach because he's a great man.
So to bring a title back to this community and to these fans is unbelievable. I know everybody feels their fans are the best, but I can tell you one thing, these Wolsey Wessington community and fans are the best I've ever had.
There you go. Dylan Hines was great. He's back again next year. Ogunjemalusi's back, and first championship for Wolsey Wessington.
They've really built a good program. When Gordon Hooks took over, about a decade ago, I mean, it's a team that hadn't won hardly anything, and now they look like they're on the path to being a perennial favorite. One thing they did better than the last time they played the Blackhawks, they had turnover problems the first time when they lost 20-6. They took care of the ball on Thursday.
All right, Woonsocket Wessington Springs Sanborn Central finishes 11-1. This is their only loss of the season. And Woolsey Wessington, the 9AA champions in South Dakota. The final game on Thursday at the Dome in Vermilion was in 11A. And this was a couple perennial powerhouses, or West Central has been for decades. Madison has been coming on lately, their third straight trip. Big Kent Mueller and his guys coming in at 10-1. Madison at 11-0 in this one. They beat West Central 28-7 during the regular season. And Mitch Hansen and Mason Layton were hooking it up all night.
Yeah, big play guys. They had a couple of big plays after a defensive first half. Finally broke through and scored.
Yeah, it was only 7-0 at halftime. And then Hansen to Layton, 76 yards here to make it 14-0 Bulldogs.
Nobody makes more big plays than Madison. They've had more 50-yard or plus touchdowns this season than any team I can remember in recent memory. A lot of it is because of speed like Mason Layton's.
Dogs playing a little defense here. West Central on 4th down. They couldn't get it in. Luth is stopped there.
I just felt it wasn't their night after that happened, but then it started to change a little bit.
It did after this. Hansen to Layton again here. On another grab for a touchdown. It's 21-0. Madison in the lead at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, end of the third quarter. And just like that, as quickly as things went off for the Bulldogs, the Trojans found some new life.
They threw it 40 times. Dan Skinner.
40 times for the Trojans?
Jonah Rechtenball with a touchdown. They go on an 85-yard drive here. 21-7. Still about 11 minutes left. And then Skinner to Sam Swear here for a big gainer, and then Skinner's going to run it in for a touchdown to make it 21-14.
You know, when things weren't working, they changed their offense, their comfort zone, and started to pass, capped it off with a nice run by Skinner. But it's crazy how Kent Mueller, they can just change their game, you know, mid-game and make it work like that.
Still about 7.5 minutes to go. West Central gets it back here. Skinner, though, is picked off by Jackson Yankee. And Madison gets it back. It's still not over at this point, though.
These are those momentum swings I'm talking about. It went back and forth throughout the entire last quarter and a half.
And then here's Hansen. West Central's trying to strip the ball here, but still, this is just a nasty run by Hansen.
Oh, boy. 7 tacklers. They all were going for the ball. Give them some credit. They weren't going for the tackle, but Mitch Hansen would not be denied.
Brody Fredrickson took it in for a touchdown. 28-14 with under 3 minutes to go. Next play, though, Skinner to Rechtenbaugh. And Madison thinks he's just going out of bounds here, but he goes 65 yards for a touchdown.
Just when you think you have the Trojans put away, they bring all their forces back with a huge play.
28-21, Madison in the lead, under 3 minutes to go. West Central would get the ball back here again with under 30 seconds to go. They try the lateral Ruski, but by the time Skinner gets out of bounds here, the game is over, and West Central makes it much closer than the first time around, but Madison wins it, and the Bulldogs are undefeated as 11A champions.
Yeah, you could feel the game starting to slip away a little bit for Madison, and you started thinking back about those last 2 years where they lost this big game, and they had the heart this time. They fought their way all the way till the end.
Big game for Dan Skinner. For West Central. Marcus Vandenbosch had 15 tackles in this game for Madison.
He was doing that with a bum leg. He definitely had some cramps going on and still came out with a huge performance on defense.
Brody Fredrickson with 114 yards. You see to add to all those big numbers for Madison in this one. And here are the Bulldogs after their championship win.
I took a little breath there when we were up 21-0. We've been playing great defense, and maybe I relaxed a little too much. And then right after they had put 2 scores together, I was terrified. I thought, goodness gracious, it's going to be a battle to the end, and we're tickled pink to come out with a victory.
Yeah, we like to really pound the ball and then beat them over the top with a big play, and that's kind of what our philosophy is.
The coaches said, we're going to do a little delay to you, and I said I'll get the first down, and I just got a full head of steam and couldn't be tackled.
That was awesome. I mean, I was watching it because I was trying to lay some blocks, but he just kept pushing them off him. So I was like, all right, you do it yourself, buddy.
It feels great just to bring it back for all of Madison, for the whole town and all the past guys in the years. It's been a rough past 2 years, and it's just great to finally bring it home, especially for the seniors this year.
That run was pretty cool for Mitch Hansen. That was a time where they needed to get 2 scores up because it felt like West Central was starting to score almost every time they had the ball.
All right, West Central finishes 10-2. Another great season for them. 2 losses to Madison this year.
What a program.
That was it. Madison goes 12-0. and the 11A state championship. All right, when we come back, we will get to the Friday night games with 9B, 11B, and the 11AA championship in South Dakota.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, and let's get to the games from tonight and this afternoon in South Dakota. At the Dakota Dome in Vermillion, and start with the 9B championship, the smallest class we have in our state, and we got Harding County and Langford area.
Yeah, Harding County has won a title as recently as 2012. Langford, though, they've been a long ways. I don't think they've won a title yet.
It is 316 miles between Langford and Buffalo, where Harding County is, by the way. And Langford, the Lions, already up 6-0. Chance Olson had a big game for Langford. 16-yard touchdown here. It's 12-0. Langford area in the lead. And then in the second quarter here, Lincoln Gibbs would put on a record-setting performance.
Give some credit to the guys up front again, but Lincoln Gibbs, I mean, this guy's over 2,000 yards on the season before he got into this one, and he just took off.
Lions up 18-0. Langford ran for 508 yards in this game. Here's Gibbs again. Makes it 26-0. Langford area in the lead. And then the next Lions possession here, Gibbs. That's a pretty good move there. He goes 82 yards for the touchdown.
So slippery on this nine-man. These nine-man teams come to the Dome and they just find a little bit more space. They find a little bit more speed, a little more adrenaline, and man, they put up some big games.
32-0. Just before the half here, Sad Podzemek to Clayton Cook for a touchdown for Harding County, 32-6 at halftime.
When we previewed this game, I thought we were going to see a lot more of that. Scott Podzemek, a great nine-man quarterback. He'll be back next year for Harding County.
He had some pretty good passing numbers, too. Third quarter here, Gibbs goes 93 yards. This is the longest run from scrimmage ever in a championship game since 1981 in South Dakota. 9-man, 11-man, doesn't matter. 93 yards there for Gibbs.
And they responded right after Harding County scored. They just made it so that there was no question that they were the best team in 9B.
Lions win it 52-28. First state football title for Langford area as they roll through, beat Falcon, beat Hamlin, beat Corsica Stickney, and they take care of Harding County here. 52-28 was the final in this one. And Lincoln Gibbs, you see the numbers there, 350 yards.
Wow.
State championship record to go along with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, you can't say enough about what they did. This season they've had a few close games, but just played better and better. And that, my friends, is because they have a very young team. A lot of juniors. Gibbs is one of those juniors. A lot of guys back for this Lions team next year.
Garrett Boylan, you see there, 128 yards and a touchdown. He also had 14 tackles in this game for Harding County, but the Ranchers fall to 10-2. Langford goes undefeated, and here is Paul Rosh and his guys after this one.
How well they get along with each other and play together, and the offseason, we had a terrific offseason, a bunch of guys that went to work. We got beat first game in the playoffs last year, and our guys didn't like that much. We knew what we had returning, and they got it done in the offseason, and we were able to stay healthy for the most part this year until playoff time. We lost a couple guys, but that was real key too, setting ourselves up in the playoffs for having home field advantage to get down here.
It still hasn't hit me quite yet. It's amazing. You don't get a team like this. It's once in a lifetime. And for us to do it the first year that we get here, I hope it made our community proud, and all the past football teams have gotten close, the semifinals and lost it, and all the present football teams too, so they can carry that around with them.
Well, this felt great all year long, just working together as a team, and I wouldn't want to do it with another bunch of guys. This is just an incredible feeling, and it hasn't really sunk in yet, but I'm sure it will once we hear all those cheers on our welcome home.
Yeah, Jordan Carson, one of those big guys up front, just moving people, and made a huge difference for Lincoln Gibbs and company. What a performance.
All right, another great small town story. Langford area, undefeated this year, and they win the first state football championship for their school in 9B. In 11B, Jandy, we have the dreaded file failure on our highlight clip between Winter and Tri-Valley. And the final in this one was Winter staying undefeated. The Warriors win it 45 28-6. They rack up 510 yards in this one. Riley Frazier with 106 on the ground. Drew Demers, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they win at 45-6 over Tri-Valley.
Winter, a team that has averaged over 50 points a game this season and allowed just less than 2 points per game this season, playing against maybe the best competition all year and still putting up those same type of numbers. Pretty amazing what they've done this season. Just a great team effort. And like you said, don't have the highlights right now, but make sure to tune in Wednesday nights. We will have full highlights of this one. But we did get to talk to some of the winners from Winter.
The way they've been playing all year, people would question our schedule, wonder how maybe good we are. Well, quite honestly, we're a pretty darn good football team, and they showed that tonight, and really happy for them and proud of them and the way they played.
All those early mornings, late nights, working on the field and in the weight room and everything, finally paying off, and it's the greatest feeling ever. Ever since I was a freshman, watching the seniors themselves win it, that's all I've ever wanted to do is be a state champion of Winter Warriors.
I have to say thanks to Windsor and all the seniors that came out. They're amazing people, and these guys had so much heart and they wanted this so bad. We were just so hungry for it, and it just feels great. It just every state championship does. This one feels amazing.
Very cool. Again, talk about their schedule if you want, but whatever. Winter goes undefeated. They didn't give up any points in their 3 playoff games before this one, and what'd you say? They gave up 26 points total in 12 games this year.
Yeah, a team that has just been unbelievable on the defensive side of the ball, and that's where they really made their hay all season long. And that's tough to do when you don't have the best competition, to stay so sharp in a game like this where they play a really quality Tri-Valley Mustang team.
Tri-Valley finished at 7-5, but they played a really nasty schedule, played up a lot into the bigger classes. But Winter goes undefeated, and they are the 11B state champions. All right, we do have the 11AA highlights in now. Yankton and Pierre just finishing up a little while ago at the Dome in Vermilion. Yankton, the defending champs. Pierre won it a couple of years ago, and pick it up here in the second half, Jandy. That's Kaiser to Derek Schreiner for a touchdown.
Pierre really didn't look like themselves. Brevin Kaiser was not throwing the ball as crisply. He definitely was running the ball well, and things started to click finally late in this game for Pierre.
Yeah, Yankton was up 14-0 at halftime. They got a Nate Stevenson touchdown and a Tanner Frick touchdown. And then what do we got here?
It's a huge gain on the passing play. Kaiser to Pete Sanchez, who also does some kicking for him, and that would set up the game-tying touchdown.
Kaiser for the touchdown, 14-14 with about 3.5 minutes to go. So Yankton's got the ball back here. They got a little Arlen Lickness hook and ladder as well, and get it to Frick down the sideline.
Not quite enough for a first down, though. They got stuffed, so Pierre takes over late in the game with a chance to win.
Yeah, Pierre will get a sack here to knock the Bucks out of field goal range, and then Pierre would get it back here, and the Governors got a field goal attempt off on the final play of regulation. So they go to overtime, tied at 14 apiece. Yankton back in OT like they were against Brookings last year. Yankton gets it first, and Frick takes it down to the 5-yard line, and then they're going to get a Sheldon Gant touchdown run.
Yeah, Sheldon Gant out of that power formation, bullies his way into the end zone. Just like last year they did in the first overtime. They got the ball first, and the opponents had a chance to answer.
Yeah, Kaiser gets in here. It's 21-14, and Kaiser scores 21-20. Yankton in the lead. Pierre goes for the win, and they go for 2, and Kaiser's pass was there that close, and Yankton hangs on to win again, and the Bucks go back-to-back.
You cannot have as much of a nail-biter as you have had not only this game, but for the season for the Yankton Bucks. What a coaching job. Maybe the best coaching job that Arlen Lickness has done over his tenure with Yankton.
Pierre beat Yankton 31-0 during the regular season, when the Bucks kind of had that little lull right in the middle of the season, but Yankton is 9-3. Both teams finished up 9-3 on the year.
Yeah, this class has been so even all year, and I go back to the beginning of the year when I talked about this class. I said this thing is up for grabs between Pierre, Yankton, and at the time I thought Brookings and Harrisburg were kind of in that same class. These two teams definitely were the two cream of the crop in 11AA this year, but it came down to one play. Man, tough way to lose it.
Yeah, been fun to watch Brevin Kaiser this year for Pierre.
Oh, yeah.
And congrats to Pierre on a great season as well. But Yankton goes back-to-back. And one more game coming up in South Dakota. We're going to talk about that later?
We'll talk about that one later, but we got some North Dakota stuff to get to.
All right, the big day at the Fargo Dome for North Dakota state championship games when we come back.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live and the big day of high school football at the Fargo Dome in North Dakota. All 4 classes in North Dakota playing in one day for their state championship.
It's great for the fans to be able to head to the Fargo Dome and check out some of the top talent across the state. And they were treated to a couple good ones today.
All right, 9-man championship. Up first, it was Richland taking on North Prairie, Jandy. Both these teams undefeated coming in. And this one had an unbelievable finish. And Brady Hine here to Cooper Lingen to make it 16-0 Richland.
Talk about a big play team. This is a team that the Colts are a team that can do that to you, and they struck 16-0 right away before Jalen Pfeiffer got his team back on the board.
Pfeiffer had more than 100 yards on the ground, almost 200 passing, 16-10. Richland in the lead, but this is a pretty pass from Pfeiffer to Bryce Leonard. And Richland had scored in the meantime as well. So it's 22-6, Richland in the lead, but then Richland stretches that lead out a little bit. Lingen and Hyen hooked up 4 times for touchdowns in this game.
We see some of the best passing in 9-man football. I love watching those one-on-one matchups downfield, and quarterbacks were delivering today.
Richland goes up 38-22 on a touchdown run here by Jake Elan. And then North Prairie starts its comeback. Pfeiffer to Brody Cahill. Makes that grab to make it 38-30. Richland still in the lead.
Great concentration.
And then
the onside
kick. Pfeiffer's the kicker as well, and they get on that. And then Pfeiffer goes to Cahill again to make it 38-36.
One of the first times all season Richland has kind of had that, what do we do now?
And then Pfeiffer can't find anybody on the conversion, does it himself to tie it at 38.
Yeah, they had one close game this year. That was with Hankinson, and pretty much the rest of the season they've had no problem.
And you'll hear about this play in the postgame coming up here. Hyen to Lingen, who flips it to Trevor Flaw, who takes it the final 45 yards.
Oh, we're going to talk a lot about the hook and ladder part, but great job by Hyen to deliver that pass.
That is a great call and a great play to win the state championship game.
Wow.
Richland 44-38, and you see the passing numbers there. For Brady Hyen, 5 touchdowns through the air, 4 of those to Cooper Lingen.
Yeah, great day by Hyen. Great job by the offense of the Colts, and they had a lot to say about that awesome play at the end to break the tie.
It's something we've been running all year. We haven't run it in a game yet. We've just been practicing it week after week, and the kids have been just begging me to run it. And I told them it'd be a time and a place to run it, and that was the right time. You know, there for a minute I thought we scored too quick, and gave up 41 seconds on the board for North Prairie, and that's a good football team.
I was speechless after it happened. When Trevor got into the end zone, I didn't know what to do. We've had that play in our back pocket the whole year, and we've been waiting to use it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that in our back pocket the whole year, and we've been wanting to run it the whole year. We've been asking our coach if we can run it, and he's like, no, we're just going to save it till a time when we need it.
Yeah, it feels unreal mostly because state championship. I've been dreaming this since I was little, and it just feels to get out here and get a win for our town. It means so much to me, my team, my coaches, and my community. Like, we are a football town, and it's amazing.
You know, I credit all that to my assistant coaches. They've worked hard to help me earn this award. I feel like it's a team effort.
All right, Richland, the winners.
What do you keep in your back pocket, Tom?
In 9-man. I do not keep trick plays for touchdowns, but can you imagine trying to keep all your kids for a month or even more than that without running that play, and they finally pull it out?
Yeah, they're definitely good at it. You can tell they practiced it a lot this year. Congratulations to the Colts. They have now beat the entire top 5 in the poll at the end of the year. You couldn't ask for a better season by the Colts.
First loss of the year for North Prairie in the championship game, but Richland, the 9-man champions in North Dakota. In Class A in North Dakota, it was Park River, Fordville, Lankin taking on Killdeer, Jandy.
a familiar Dakota Bowl. In fact, the same two teams playing for a Class A title last season.
All right, Park River has Levi Cudmore, and he had a very big game for Park River.
Not many people able to score off of this Killdeer defense this season, but the Aggies, they found a way with their quarterback, Levi Cudmore, who just shed the Cowboys on his way to the end zone.
There's 59 yards here. It's 16-0. Aggies out to the lead. And then Killdeer will get back here with a touchdown plunge by Hayes Lemieux to make it 16-8.
Yeah, good effort by them to keep this one close. They wanted this game to be a little bit low scoring, but they felt it getting away from them, had to put some offense up.
Park River pulls out the Hankey, Jackson Hankey. Touchdown run, 24-8. Park River Fordville Lincoln at halftime. And then Cudmore here to Damon Flatten. Watch Flatten adjust to this.
Exactly, kind of going back in center field and making that play. Froze the defender, does the rest of the work himself.
All right, that goes 75 yards. And Park River starting to build the lead here. Hankey will go in for another touchdown to put the Aggies ahead 38-8.
Yeah, and at this point, the Aggies, you know, when you can run the ball up the middle like that on a really good tackling team, you know you've got it clicking.
Really nice grab here for a touchdown by Dylan Jepson for Killdeer, but that is the final margin, 38-14, as Park River finishes 11-0 in another state championship for the Aggies.
2 in 2 years. Before that, they had to wait 100 years for a title. So yeah, it's going to be fun to be in those communities for the next week or so.
All right, let's hear from them after their championship.
You know, 2 years in a row, and again, the kids, you know, if you look at the stands, look at that sea of gold up there. It's just, it's great for our community. It's great for these kids, because after we won the one last year, these kids got in the weight room. They worked hard to get back to where we are now.
Oh, like you can see, brought our community together, and it's just great to see all these people here, and it really helps. 12th man on the field.
It is so fun because this kind of thing happens. I'm sure there'll be huge parade when we get back, and I'm sure that everyone's gonna be going nuts. You see this sea of gold. It's so fun to play for these guys and having them come to every single game. And we usually have twice as many fans as the other teams. They're so great.
I can't tell you how much these kids mean to me. It's a family. It's you know, I get to see them, you know, from August 8th or whatever starting date to now, probably as much, if not more, than my family. So they are my family, and we treat it that way up home, and it's a great pleasure being with these guys.
Congratulations to those Aggies.
All right, Park River, Fordville, Lincoln back-to-back champions in Class A in North Dakota. In AA, moving on, third game of the day in Fargo today was Beulah taking on Fargo Shanley in the 2A championship game.
These elite teams in Class AA this year, razor thin between their level of competition. Each team with just one loss in the season.
All right, Jake Reinholz with a field goal early for Fargo Shanley, but their lead would not last very long, and they wouldn't have it for much of the ballgame or the rest of the ballgame. Mikey Morris going in for a touchdown for Beulah.
Morris, just a sophomore this year. Much of this team has returned from last year, but Morris has been a pleasant surprise running the ball for the Miners.
All right, Casey Walker will hit Corey Alt. Alt, nice move there, and he takes it in 13-3. Beulah in the lead at halftime.
Concentration to make the catch, but while he's making
Just
the
see
catch,
the guy
juke
coming,
that, yeah, that's a great move.
All right, Miners up 13-3. They make a 19-3 here on a direct snap to Alt, who lined up as the fullback here, and he goes 80 yards on, I guess you could call that a quick play.
One of the most underrated players for this team. He deserves some of the limelight, can do it receiving, running, defense. Just a great all-around player.
Matt Bird with a touchdown here. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. 24 touchdowns on the season for Matt Bird this year. Makes it 19-11. Beulah still in the lead, and then they get a touchdown, short touchdown run here to go back up 26-11.
Yeah, tried to get some momentum back for the Deacons, but the Miners, they were just methodical the way they kept taking the ball down the field.
Deacons trying to chop into that lead again, but Hayden Norton with the interception for Beulah. Had a dozen tackles to go with that pick.
One of the leaders on defense. Good to see him make a big play in a big game.
And then a little more deception from Beulah. Morris on the throwback to the quarterback, Walker for a late touchdown.
That's when you kind of just throw your hands up and say, it might not be our day. Great job by the Beulah Miners.
33-18 is the final. Beulah with its first state championship in football since 1989. They almost double up Shanley in total yards in this game. Big game for Alt. Corey Alt with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns and 186 yards total for Beulah.
Yeah, they were making plays all over the field. I thought this one would be closer, but Beulah left no doubt that they were the best team on this day.
All our guys are unselfish. Bottom line is they want to win. Nobody says anything about touches. Nobody says anything about yards. Most of the time when they recommend plays, like maybe a timeout during halftime, it's a play where they're a lead blocker. So they're unselfish, and they know that's how you have to be successful.
This is the first time we've done this in a very long time. The last time we were here was back in 2005. We were state runner-ups then, and it's just great to bring home a state championship finally for our community and everything like that.
For us seniors, it's a dream come true. I mean, the last one was 89, I think they said it was, and I mean, we got the whole crowd here, the whole city, it seems like, and it's great to know that we got that kind of support. It's just it's just unexplainable.
It means a lot. We're working hard the whole entire year. This was our one goal at the beginning of the season. We've worked 4 hard years for our seniors, and we just want to go out and get it for them.
I should look younger. Yes, this will be gone. We'll go in the locker room and do that. I told them, let's get it done, and it comes off. So.
Yeah, it gets kind of itchy.
Big group hug in the locker room, that's for sure. Big group hug. That's the way I can only say it.
Group hugs and shaving.
Shaving in No Shave November.
For Beulah. Beulah finishes 11-1, second loss of the season for Fargo Shanley. But you've had Bismarck St. Mary's up there in Valley City. And has Beulah been up in that echelon in the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, they've been working their way up there. We saw them do that in basketball, 4 or 5 years ago, where they had those really good teams. Football, they've been competitive every year. Last year, you could tell they were taking that step with a very junior-heavy group. This year, a lot of those guys are seniors, and they did it. And I think Jim Dooley's been growing that beard since about 1989.
Sad to see that go.
And it's going to be sad to see it go. But I think there's some happiness going on in Beulah.
Beulah finishes 11-1 on the season, and they are the 2A state champions in North Dakota. And then the final game of the day at the Fargo Dome. The big school championship in North Dakota was Bismarck Century taking on Minot. Minot back in after falling to Fargo Davies in the championship game last year. And Minot had a great start to this game with Ben Belinsky going to Brett Lund here for a touchdown.
The very start of the game, they coughed it up a few times, recovered some of their own fumbles, but they still managed to get on the board first with that passing game.
7-0 Minot into the first quarter. And then early in the second here, Dalton Feeney to Zach Sweep. And they missed the extra point here, 7-6 Minot in the lead.
We talk a lot about that connection to Geiger, but Sweep has been very valuable in this passing game.
Yeah, no wonder Century's so good with the quarterback and the receivers they have. But Ben Belinsky putting it on the money hitter, Justin Eng, he had a big game for Minot, and it's 14-6.
We saw a lot of the coverage go towards Bischoff and Lund, but big play by Eng.
Feeney keeping the play alive here to Alex Horner. Goes in for the touchdown. They get a 2-point conversion. Game tied 14 all at halftime.
They don't get a lot of yards out of the running game, but little short passes like that are their running game.
Right, here's Eng again. Another good throw by Belinsky. And Minot back up 21-14.
He's a good receiver, you can tell. And they were putting the ball on the money most of the day, right up until then.
Started to turn a little bit in the third quarter. Kevin Vanderpan with an interception for Century. And then on a 4th and 13, Feeney slinging it to Adam Geiger for the tying touchdown on an amazing one-handed catch.
I think he put the ball right there because he knew his boy would come up with it.
Geiger had an interception in the meantime, and then Feeney to Geiger again for the go-ahead with about 6.5 minutes to go.
Timing is so good. You saw the defender jump just a little too early. Century has that magical connection, and it earns them a state title.
And their first state championship at Bismarck Century team that has been very good over the years, and they win it 28-21. Again, Geiger started the season as the quarterback, moved back to wide receiver when Dalton Feeney came on. Feeney with 291 passing yards in this game and 4 touchdowns, a couple of those to Geiger on some amazing catches.
I mean, we talk about how getting Feeney back was so valuable for this Patriot team. Well, getting Geiger back at receiver, almost as valuable. He has been absolutely stellar in the passing game. Can't ask for much more than that connection that they've brought since they've been reunited in that Dickinson game.
Good game for Ben Belinsky as well. He throws 3 touchdown passes, but Feeney goes to Zach Sweep. He goes to Alex Horner. He goes to Geiger for a couple of touchdowns. Bismarck wins at 28-21, and let's hear from the Patriots after this one.
Well, I tell you what, after I don't know how many semifinals. I think we're on something like the 14th semifinal. It wears on you a little bit when you can, come in second. And tonight, I just thought the focus throughout the whole week was we just got to go get this one once. And we knew we had a shot. And certainly Minot was just a very, very great team. And they played very well. And, when you get to games like this, it comes down to a few turnovers. And Kevin Vanderpan's interception was huge in that fourth quarter.
Well, I got a lot of great teammates. Dalton Feeney always throwing the ball great. I couldn't have had better teammates tonight. We work hard every practice. So I wasn't surprised that much when we made the plays because we always put in the hardest work we can.
I did not see the one hand. I threw it and I saw our crowd cheering. And I ran back to the numbers like, look at the screen. He just made a Odell Beckham catch, and I looked at it. What a play by him. He makes plays every single day. The fans are amazing. Every single game they got a rowdy student section. Our parents are cheering. It just gives us motivation and just gives us that extra energy.
Best student section in the state, right?
Well, I tell you what, we had 2 buses down at West Fargo, over 100 kids. Tonight we would have had more, but we're in the semifinals with the West Region Volleyball. But just a great following, and they've been loud, and it's just been a great 3-week run here in the playoffs with our student body, and certainly, like you said, just a great 12th man.
Congrats to Coach Wingenbach. I think he's probably right how many times they've been in the semis and close,
always
but they get
good.
their first championship.
Always good, just always a little bit to be desired right at the end of the season. And they played their 2 best games now over the last 2 weeks, going on the road to West Fargo and then taking it to the show to the Fargo Dome where Geiger came up with a huge catch. Feeney, a great performance. Just unbelievable season for the Patriots.
That was a great game. 28-21, Bismarck Century
Just
over
think they were 1 game away
Minot.
from missing the playoffs. They could have missed the playoffs.
And second season in a row now for Minot. Coming up as the runners-up. Nice work by Joey Beltram, our guy up in Fargo. Nice work, JB.
Best post game you can get.
All right, when we come back, a look at tomorrow's championship game, Saturday's game between Washington and O'Gorman in the Big School Championship in South Dakota, and the rundown coming up next.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency. Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, and let's take one more look at the final in the 11AA championship game in South Dakota. It was Yankton and Pierre. They go to overtime. Second straight year that Yankton's gone to overtime in the championship game, and the final is 21-20. Bucks on top. Yankton had the ball first in overtime. They get a Gant touchdown and then the extra point. Brevin Kaiser with a touchdown run in overtime for Pierre. They go for 2 and come so close to getting it, but do not. And Yankton wins at 21-20.
You could not have gotten closer than they did on that final extra point try. And they've got a good kicker. They could have kicked it and went to another overtime, but I think they wanted to see if they could get the win. And 2 years in a row now, Yankton has won by getting a save in the bottom of the 9th. Bottom of the 10th.
All right, here's head coach Arlen Lickness and I believe Tanner Frick from Yankton.
It's just sometimes when you got a rabbit's foot and your kids work hard and they play hard, you'll take it, and we'll take this one. Yeah, it does. It seems like in my mind, after they scored the first time, I'm starting to go, dang, we're going to go overtime again. And that's just what happened. So, but, give our kids a lot of credit. They hung in there, and give Pierre credit. They came back in that second half, went after it. They had a great ball club. And so it was just a great high school football game, and that's what championships are supposed to be made of, and so it was a lot of fun.
I don't know, Coach Lickness found a way, he always does, but we all came together as a team and executed a lot the rest of the games. Feels great. I can barely talk, my voice is gone, but I love it. Love my teammates, love my team.
All right, Yankton got out to a 14-0 lead in this game. Pierre was not doing a whole lot of anything in the first half.
Pierre always does great at defensive adjustments. They made some adjustments, had trouble on the they really had trouble in the first half, and then the second half offensively, Yankton had the trouble, and it comes down to one play. You feel bad to lose that way, but got to feel good for Arlen Lickness on the roller coaster season that they've had to come out on top.
Lickness, talking about his lucky rabbit's foot. I think he believes in Bigfoot and UFOs and everything else, and winning on Friday the 13th, big deal for Coach
Happy
Lickness.
birthday to his daughter, by the way.
But, Brevin Kaiser tied that game up at 14 with about 4 minutes to go, and then they go to overtime, and Yankton wins it 21-20.
Crazy finish.
All right, there's one game left in South Dakota. The 7th and final championship game will be Saturday night at the Dakota Dome in 3A. We got Washington at 10-1 taking on Sioux Falls O'Gorman at 9-2.
Yes, two teams that have been very good this season. They played once before. That was a little early in the season, and that was a huge turning point for the Washington Warriors. They'd gone a couple of years without beating a Sioux Falls team before they put a little bit of a smackdown on O'Gorman that night.
Washington won it 39-23, and it was in the first half of the season. Luke Fritsch spinning out here is hard to handle any night. He goes up here to Jack Perry for a touchdown, but talk about what the strengths are for each of these teams, starting with the O'Gorman Knights.
Well, the O'Gorman Knights, they bring a great backfield and an even better backfield. Back in this game, if you remember, there was no Boston Bauer for O'Gorman. They were playing a lot of guys both ways. They still are playing a lot of guys both ways, but the strengths for them starts with their quarterback, Luke Fritsch, a guy who's thrown for over 900 yards in the season, run for over 800 yards. That's a big passing total for a team that doesn't throw a lot of passes to get 12 touchdowns. It's because they have a guy like this. Jack Peary coming down with big scores. So I think that's one area they can exploit the Warriors if they can get Jack Peary going up for those big balls. He's come down with a lot of huge catches.
And then the running numbers with McQuinja and with Boston Bauer and with Fritsch. On the other side for the Warriors, 10-1. And in the Dome now, they had that great run with Brian Hermanson, and now into Chad Statham getting there for the first time in the last 4 years. Last 3 years.
Their signature is defense. You saw it. They set the pace in the Brandon Valley game with defense, recovering a fumble in the first possession, and they do it with offense. Their offensive line especially. It's not just Matt Farniak either. The entire offensive line pushing people around. That's really going to have a huge advantage over Sioux Falls O'Gorman.
All right, Washington has gotten by Watertown, got by Brandon Valley 28-21 in a very good semifinal game. O'Gorman over Aberdeen Central in the first round, and then they beat Roosevelt 27-23 in the semis to get to the championship.
This one's going to be a treat. We've had some good games in the last 2 years in AAA. I think this one follows suit.
All right, Washington and O'Gorman Saturday night in the 11th AAA championship in South Dakota. Let's get to the rundown.
Let's do it.
Janny, we got one big play here from all of the championship games so far in the Dakotas, and Canastota over Sully Butte's big.
Jolly to Jolly, just one of the big plays in the 56-8 victory.
9AA championship, Hunter Johnson, 300 yards for Wolsey Wessington.
Over 300 yards, had a record for about 20 hours until Lincoln Gibbs took that away.
All right, Madison gets the state championship, second win of the season over West Central, 28-21.
Yeah, Madison falling short for a couple years, but riding their quarterback Mitch Hansen all the way to a state title.
Langford Area's first state championship as well. Here's the state championship record for rushing from Lincoln Gibbs.
What a day for Lincoln Gibbs. He will not forget it. Just a junior, he'll be back next year.
Here's that two-point conversion Pierre was trying to win the ball game on, but Yankton hangs on in overtime in 11AA.
Hey, give them credit. They fought hard, but Yankton back-to-back champs.
9-man champs in North Dakota. Richland on the hook and
Did he
ladder.
Just do that? That was a tie game at that point, folks. Huge play for the Richland Colts.
Flaw takes it in for the game winner there. Park River, Fordville, Lincoln, back-to-back state champions.
Levi Cudmore was the difference maker in this one. They put up a ton of points against a team who hasn't given up a lot of points this year.
All right, Beulah over Fargo Shanley in the 2A championship.
Got to feel good again for Beulah. Haven't won a title since 1989. Casey Walker and company were not going to be denied on this night.
And Bismarck Century, first state championship for the Patriots. Adam Geiger had some amazing catches in this game, 4 touchdown passes for Dalton Feeney.
This game definitely featured the 2 best teams in North Dakota, in my opinion, at the end of the season. They really put up a good show to finish out the North Dakota high school season.
All right, again, we did not get to a winner in Tri-Valley in the 11B championship game. Jason will have those highlights on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night, our Varsity Sports special will feature a North Dakota special and a South Dakota special, so we'll have a lot of post-game that we didn't have here.
All right, Washington O'Gorman coming up Saturday night in South Dakota. Thanks to all of our shooters all season, all the coaches and the players for their cooperation. We'll see you next year on Varsity Sports Live. Check out Jason on Varsity Sports on Wednesday night. Good evening.